So today we're going to do a completely different video than what I normally would do. We're going to take a look at this iPhone XR that a friend gave to me to take a look at for them. They accidentally broke the speaker when they were cleaning it. They're trying to clean the holes out, and they believe they punctured it. It wasn't working right. They ended up buying a new phone anyway, and they wanted to use this as a trade-in, but they've got to get that speaker fixed first. So they gave it to me to take a look at it. I said, yeah, I'll take a look. I mean, I can't guarantee anything, but we'll see. What you hear in the background is the hot air gun, and I'll explain why in a second. So in order to get to the speaker, you have to remove the display, which is glass, and it's held in with some very strong adhesive. So I need the heat from the hot air gun to loosen it up so I can pry it open. However, upon further testing, it's not the speakers that are bad. It seems like it's the microphone. Either way, I have to remove the display assembly to get to it. But when I was taking another close look, I noticed that, and I don't know if it's going to show up on camera or not here, but the display itself is already separated here. Normally that'd be really cool, except there's also a display ribbon here. So when I go to try and open it, it has to be opened up this way and not this way. If it could be this way, I would just have to pry up this corner to see if the clip inside is broken. And if it is, it's going to need a new screen. No way around it. But it's not, so I'm going to have to go all the way around. However, with it being loose there, I might be able to get the spudger in there much more easily. I'll probably still have to use a suction cup. Ignore this crack here. That's the glass screen protector. Fortunately, it's there. I'm not sure why the display is loose here. If it's a broken clip, it's got to be replaced. If it's the battery inside that's starting to fail and expand, battery's got to be replaced, and possibly the display. If it's anything else like a bent frame, that's a no-go because they're not going to be able to trade it in like that. The guy at the counter might not care, but once they send it back to repair depot, whatever, they're going to do a full set of tests on here, and they're going to know that something was done to it. So either way, enough blabbing. Let me make sure that the temperature is set. I'm going to set it at 325 Celsius, and I'm going to do airflow of about 40. Let's see if that's enough to loosen it. If not, I'll raise it up. So got the phone off. I'm going to go ahead and, yeah, there's warm air coming out. So I'll start at the bottom here. And I have absolutely no idea how long it's going to take, so I'm probably not going to bore you guys with the entire process. All right, let's see. Not making great adhesion. But it is loosening up a little bit, so I grab the pick style spudger. Now this would be easier to do if you had one of those double-sided suction cups where there's a cup on both sides. We'll see though. You also don't want to pull up too much on the display because you don't want to break it. You don't want to destroy any ribbons. But you're basically going to have to try to cut into the adhesive. Using the hot air gun will definitely help, but you may not get to a certain section in time before it cools off. So you may have to stop, loosen it up like a little bit more. I also recommend trying to keep one of the spudgers inside to keep the glass elevated so it doesn't re-adhere. Now the top edge definitely has some clips and extra glue, so you definitely have to be careful. And if I did it right, all I should have to do is basically fold it over. In fact, before I do that, let me get something to prop the screen up on because there's still that ribbon and I don't want anything to tear. I'll use this box here. There. It's the inside of an iPhone if you've never seen one before. Let me bring the camera down closer to get a better look. So you've got the battery, you've got cameras and various sensors, Taptic engine, which is kind of like the force feedback, but it's not quite as advanced on the XR. I'm guessing there is a SIM tray in here, even though this is a North American model. I believe that's for use in Asia where they don't support eSIMs. Got the lightning port down here. Speaker and microphone assemblies. Yeah, so pretty neat. Main board here for the A whatever chip it was in this model, and then of course there's a display and some additional sensors and things like that. Took a little bit of work, but there's the battery connector, so that should hopefully keep it from powering back on. Again, it looks like there's a couple more screws I'll have to remove though. I am following a guide because this is the first time I'm doing it, and I don't want to screw things up for my friend, so. Now it looks like the display is disconnected now, but I still have an additional ribbon up here, I'm guessing for part of the camera or some other sensor. Apple loves their sensors, so I should be able to maneuver enough now. So I don't see anything here that would have caused the display to pop up like that. Although, and I'm not sure if there's supposed to be any or not, there are no screws. Focus, there's no screws in any of these components here, but there are over here in this corner, which is kind of odd, as well as the opposite corner, so I'm not sure if that's normal or not. Maybe I need to ask to see if this was ever serviced before, because looking at some of the screenshots of the repair guide on iFixit, it looks like that there may be screws in those spots. Now, it's also possible that it's a situation where they want to reuse this display for other models and things like that, so there are definitely supposed to be screws in there, according to this guide, which to me says that someone has been in here before. And as such, the fact that the screws are missing is very concerning. At least the battery is in good shape. It's not puffing or anything like that. But the fact that all of these screws are missing, except for the two in the corner here, two up here, the rest aren't there. I mean, it's possible maybe this is a later revision of the XR and Apple said, we don't need it. Maybe the clips are strong enough. But considering the fact that it seems to be lifting in this corner here, either it's because of the lack of screws or it's because the frame is bent. But again, because of the hump, it's hard to lay the phone completely flat to see and verify that. But at least I can lay this flat now. There's a scratch or something there, but that's too far deep in from me having done that with the spudger, especially since I was careful not to go beyond maybe a millimeter in. So I think someone's been in here before. I will have to verify. So it's not a difficult repair to do, but again, because someone else has been in here before, I mean, without those screws, you know, if they decide to take it apart for whatever reason to verify the trade-in, they're not going to accept it. So it's been a couple of days since I last worked on this. For you guys, it was seconds ago. I did get confirmation that someone was in here before, but because of that, I don't know what was actually done with it. And as such, I recommend to my friend that it's just not going to be worth doing the trade-in. I don't know what kind of tests or anything they're going to put it through. It doesn't make sense to spend any money trying to fix something that might be worthless. Not sure there's the chance that they decide to sell it, you know, through Facebook or Craigslist or something like that. But at this point, the decision is made just to put it back together and clean it up as best as possible. And they're just going to give it to their kid to play games on and stuff. However, last time I mentioned that there were missing screws. Not quite. Let me show you. If you see right here, there's one right there. There is also one. Let me see. It's going to show there's one over here. There was one over here somewhere. I think it got knocked loose when I removed the rest of these connectors. But the point is that it's not even like whoever opened it up decided to not put the screws back in, lost them, what have you. It's that they just shoved them back in here, put everything back together, and that was it. And I'm not happy about that. The reason this is upsetting me is two reasons, really. One is that these screws could have shorted out a component, More importantly is a screw could have gotten stuck between the battery and this display. And over time, you know, tapping on it and stuff like that, especially a child playing with it, could have punctured the battery and, well, caused a fire or worse. And yeah, I'm not happy about that. So I'm going to do my best to try to find every single one of these loose screws to make sure that doesn't happen and get this thing back together as much as possible. I know that there were a couple more screws. I don't know what happened with them, but then again, let me make sure. We've got 1, 2, 3 on this side and one more on this side. So actually there are only 4, which means I'm only missing one of the screws. I remember the one being here, but I don't know where it went now. What if I... There it is. Okay, so that should take care of those 4 missing screws. I hope. Oh man, oh man. I'm gonna take a closer look real quick just to make sure there is nothing else in here. I don't see any other missing screws. I don't see any other components. Actually, there is another screw here, maybe? Yeah. I wonder what that one goes to. I'm pretty sure, unless I miscounted on the display, 1 missing here. 2, 3, 4. Oh, no, there was 1 up here missing 2. So that makes 5. Okay, that makes more sense now. But now I definitely want to double check to make sure there's nothing else here. Cleaning the old adhesive is going to be a problem because it is very dried on. The kit does give these little plastic razor type things and some alcohol wipes and stuff like that. I'm going to use a Q-tip, a toothpick, and some IPA as well to try and see if I can't get some of this gunk cleaned out. Probably also a can of air, get some of this pet hair out of here. So sorry this isn't a super exciting video. You know, don't expect any Louis Rossmann level repairs or anything like that. So definitely beyond my current capabilities. I'm going to go ahead and try to get some of this gunk cleaned up. I'm not going to do it on camera because I don't know how long it's going to be and it's going to be really boring, but I'll try to show the results after the fact, and then I will show an attempt to put the adhesive back on. So of course the entire time I was cleaning, the furnace was off and it kicks back on as I'm ready to talk again. So as you briefly saw, some of the things that I did to try to get it clean, there's just some stuff that without scraping and possibly damaging the chassis, I'm not going to really clean up, but I think it came out clean enough for the adhesive to stick. So now to tackle the screen, basically do a rinse and repeat. So we'll be back. This is as clean as I'm going to be able to get the perimeter. I don't want to risk damaging the glass, obviously. So I'm going to go ahead and get the screws back in to where they're supposed to go, and then we'll go back to the main body and attempt to apply the adhesive. These screws are super tiny and they're very finicky, and I had to grab a bit that was not very magnetic because it kept flipping to the side here. So yeah, maybe they didn't put the screws back in because it was such a pain in the butt. Not an excuse, mind you. So those screws should all be in now. We should be nice and happy. The display's not going to go anywhere, hopefully. And the moment of truth, of course, is will I be able to get this adhesive on there properly? Like I said, they gave 2 of them in the pack, which is good. So now, take my spudger. Won't go down because that little tab there, that's fine. I'll take care of that at the end. All right, let's see. That was actually a little bit easier than putting on a screen protector. Move this to the side here. This is going to be fun getting these connectors back on without breaking anything because they're so tiny. And also I want to make sure they get connected properly so I don't have to reopen it to plug one little thing back in, right? Now, because you damage those connectors, yeah, they can be replaced, but it's not easy and it's almost not worth it. So there's that. Let me temporarily reattach the battery as well. And let's see, actually. I don't have the battery connect. Oh, it is. So it's coming on. Let me pause it though, because in case any messages pop up, I don't want them to be recorded. I mean, the phone is deactivated. I don't have a SIM card in or anything like that. It's not connected to Wi-Fi. Let me unlock it. Phone's able to use Face ID, so that's probably because I don't have the connector properly in, but that's fine. So it's working. Let me take it back apart. Well, disconnect it, shut it down, and finish reassembly. Yeah, the connector looks like it's better attached now. I don't know if it will show up in camera or not, but it was kind of overlapping a little bit, so it wasn't quite centered. So that should fix that. Now, I've got to get these little, well, they're off camera, but these little brackets that have to be reinstalled for everything to be secured. That should be fun. Let me secure one of these screws first and then grab the other one. These screws are ridiculously tiny. Almost unnecessarily tiny, to be honest. Yeah, that was definitely a pain. And of course I do have to reconnect the battery in order to get the last clip on. This one slides underneath here, like so. Of course, seasoned people are probably really used to this and have all kinds of tips and tricks on how to properly make sure everything stays in place. I mean, I probably could have Kapton taped it down for a bit. Well, the screws are so small, makes it 10 times more difficult to... Alright, that should be it. Stand it up just to make sure and double check everything. Yeah, I think we're good to go. Something is not clipping correctly on that side. Strange. So there's that. Now there are two more pentalobe screws that have to go in. I know I've got them. Where did I place them though? The reason I couldn't find them is because I was looking for silver colored screws and they're black, and they were in a black tray. So Now, depending on what kind of adhesive you get, they recommend heating it up and then putting some pressure down on the back like that, some weight. Problem is you've got the camera bump in the way. So yeah, so what I'll do is I'll take care of that off camera after the fact, because it's going to probably have to sit on there for like an hour or two just to really properly push down on it. Alright, now that everything's back together, I'm going to go ahead and test a few things out, make sure it turns on, make sure it charges, etc. So alright, screen comes up. I'm going to pause it real quick so I can put the passcode in. Alright, seems to work just fine in terms of touch and scrolling. Let's see. The silent mode switch works. Volume up, volume down. Cool. I'm going to use a official charger and cable to make sure that it charges. Of course, these aren't very long cables, so... but it is charging. So I think I didn't manage to break anything putting it back together. The adhesive seems to be holding pretty well. I did ended up just having it compressed under some books and stuff like that just to keep it pushed down overnight so that it doesn't separate, hopefully. Again, the cracks that you see are from the glass screen protector. Check to see if I had any extras, because I do have an XR for work, but must have used them all, so oh well. I'm going to test a few other things off camera, things like Wi-Fi connectivity, Bluetooth connectivity, and all of that, just to make sure it's working. But other than that, I think this went pretty well. Camera itself seems to work, so front-facing camera seems to work as well. Yeah, this was, I know, probably not as exciting as you were hoping for. I didn't get to replace anything really other than the adhesive, but I'm so glad I opened it up, like I said, because of all the screws that were out of place, and those could have been a huge risk to this phone. So what'd you guys think? Leave some comments below if you have any tips or suggestions for next time if I ever do open up another iPhone. Have you guys ever worked on an iPhone yourself? So let me know below. Otherwise, thanks all, and I will catch you later.